हाँ मिलिंद स्टार्ट कीजिए।
Yes. Good afternoon to everyone. I am here to introduce research person of this session, Dr. Sanyogita Rajroop Verma. She has completed her PhD in the subject of zoology. She is, she is also MA in subject of psychology. Dr. Sanyogita Verma is an assistant professor in Anand Niketan College, Anandban, Varora, District Chandrapur. She is recognized postgraduate teacher and supervisor of Gondwana University, Gadchiroli. She is also a guide supervisor for MSc students for their dissertation work. She has completed her responsibilities as coordinator of the e-conference organizing committee from 14 to 15 March 2022. The faculty coordinator for the event hosted in 2020-2021 in collaborative project between NCCS, IISER Pune, funded by DBT, and Persistent System Limited. She was guest faculty in the Institute of Science, Nagpur, for session 2013-14. She is a co-opted BOS member of Gondwana University and BOS member of Bajaj College of Science, Varda. She has published 31 research papers in national and international journals and conferences. A total of 11 books and chapters in books are to her credit. She is a reviewer of research papers of international journals and delivered a lecture in CSIR and EERI Nagpur on invitation. She received distinguished awards for paper presentation at international and national levels before joining Anand Niketan College. She worked for 5 years as a research assistant in CSIR NID Nagpur. During this period, she had completed her PhD work and worked in various environmental EIA projects for mining industries, oil refineries, sand mining projects, and specific economic zones. She carried out extensive field studies for survey and collection of environmental samples of surface water, groundwater, soil, and laboratory analysis of water and soil samples. She worked in biological environment for collection of primary and secondary data on forest and non-forest flora and fauna, identification of rare and endangered species, compensatory afforestation, identification of impacts, and suggestions for mitigation measures. So, sophisticated personality is within us for this session. So, without wasting time, I hand over this session to Dr. Verma, ma'am. Ma'am, welcome.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Milind, sir, for a brief, very distinct, brief introduction. Hope I am audible. Yes, sir.
Yes, madam. Yes, yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Good afternoon to all the distinct faculties as well as the coordinator. I extend my gratitude for the invitation to the Rani Durgavati Vishwavidyalaya. Special thanks to the coordinator of UGC MM-TTC, Dr. R.S. Chandok, for giving this opportunity. So, shall I share my presentation, sir?
Yes, ma'am, please do.
Yeah. Okay. Is it visible, sir? Kindly.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay. Thank you. So, starting, the very near and very close to my heart is the topic for the today's talk is wildlife conservation strategies in India. We all are very much blessed to have as an Indian with a mega diverse condition. We all are known that our country is known for the diversity, unity in the diversity, diversity in various sectors, right from the cultural, from the traditional, from the social. It continues with the geographical conditions as that leads to the flora and fauna, diversity of the flora and fauna. This here, our country that included, we proudly said that we are as a part of the mega diverse country, which is distinguished as a 17th, and one of this diverse condition, India also plays a distinct role in this work. We are the home of about 7.6% of the mammals, different zone of the mammals, sharing 12.6% of the birds, 6.2% of the reptiles, and the 4.4% of the amphibians. Regard this, as we are focusing with a wildlife, we are also, I'm happy to share the details of the plant species of about 30, which contributes in our diversity about 33%. Our country, which is a subcontinent of the Asian, it stands as the 7th largest country and holds 8th position for the from the 17th mega biodiversity areas of the world falls. This is mainly fall under the Indo-Malayan biogeographical conditions. Here, our country that shows our diversity because of the diverse geographical condition, like the distinct landscape, terrain, topographical, different habitat, ecological features, terrestrial as that includes terrestrial as well as aquatic zones, including the ocean, which provides the scope of the capability to endure the assorted life forms. ZSI, we all know, this is a zoological survey of India, which comes under the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, that is MOEF and CC, that contributes for exploring and examining the faunal wealth of our country. And it addresses the importance, particularly in terms of the ecosystem, services and good services which provides to the human being. The 17 which shares the countries are named as Australia, Brazil, China, Colombia, Democratic Republic of the Congo, Ecuador, and one of our country, India, Indonesia, Madagascar, Malaysia, Mexico, Papua, Peru, Philippines, South Africa, United States, and Peninsula. Our country, it stands 7th largest country in worldwide, and in the Asia, it stands as the 2nd largest nation, having the area of 3.2 million square kilometers. That is comprising of the varied landscape as well as the natural resources. See here, is it visible, sir? The image is visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Not visible. The diversity is shown in our complete map, right from the extreme north, the tundra region, the extreme cold area, which is covered most of the month, that is near about 9 to 10 months, about it is covered with ice bars. No flora fauna inhabited in that extreme conditions. So that is the distinguished with the tundra region, followed by the grassland shrubs, that zone as the desert area, tropical and subtropical area. The central one is the broad area that includes the deciduous dry forest as well as tropical conditions. Deccan Plateau, residing the Maharashtra and some part of the Andhra Pradesh. Desert, the two distinct hotspot resides as a Western Ghat as well as the Eastern Ghat. They show a very maximum diverse condition in that zone. Coastal areas are another significant habitat which is added, and oceanic conditions. Here, the coastal ley line, they are occupying the mangroves, specialized diversity as in the form of the mangroves. So Deccan Plateau, these are all the zones. How these habitats has been recognized as in a distinct fauna part. So extreme north, that is named as a trans-Himalayan region. Here we found a specific fauna, and they are namely as a snow leopards, the marmots. This is the goat, mountain goat. It's not a normal goat. It's known as a mountain goat, wild ships, ibex, and the marmots. Next specific zone is started with the diversity and how the diversity area is there, that I am discussing. जैसे starting में मैंने बताया था कि we are very much blessed to share a diverse zone. तो diverse zone किस form में है वो मैं आपको different different pic के माध्यम से समझाने की कोशिश कर रही हूँ. So another one is the first we have gone with a trans Himalayan zone. Then the Himalayan zone. Extreme was the trans, and lowering that the Himalayan region that is extending from the north, covering towards the extreme position to the northeast. So here a distinct fauna was reported in the form of the muntjac, sambar, as well as snow leopards. Why this is up? Another form is the Indian desert. Extreme was the north, having a low temperature. Mostly the part is covered with a snow. Now, the another very distinct area is in the form of the desert as well as the semi-arid region that is occupying towards in between the north as well as the west zone. It is distinct in the yellowish color. And again, we report here the different type of the fauna with a diverse condition as a desert fox, great Indian bastard, wild ashes. Name are the similar, but the features are very much distinct. जैसे अगर नॉर्थ एरिया में है, कोल्ड एरिया है, तो the animals are completely rich, having the extra coating of the fur. The same goat, when we are founding at the central zone or towards the southern zone, the fur condition has been reduced. So because of the habitat condition, the animals, the coating, this physiological and metabolism also has been distinct.
मैम प्रेजेंटेशन के नीचे वो 10% है ना, वो साइज बढ़ा दीजिए तो
बढ़ा
आप फॉर्मर
सर वो विजिबल नहीं हो रहा है सर, मुझे इसीलिए वो दिक्कत हो रही, वही मैं सोची कि ऐसे
वो
क्यों
थोड़ा
हो रहा है वो मुझे
प्रॉब्लमेटिक जा रहा है.
हाँ एग्जैक्टली सर, वही मुझे भी ये नहीं समझ में आया कि ऐसा क्यों हो रहा है इस बार.
मैम नीचे जो डेट एंड टाइम
यस
लिखा
यस
है ना,
ओके
हाँ
ओके
उसमें
ओके यस यस
साइज
सर,
साइज
यस
साइज.
यस सर, दैट्स व्हाई.
हाँ.
यस ओके,
ओके मैम. ना
थैंक यू सर.
हेलो मैडम,
यस
प्रेजेंटेशन जोन में ओपन नहीं किया आपने.
ओके
प्रेजेंटेशन मोड.
यस डायरेक्टली ओपन हुआ था. ओके दैट्स व्हाई.
हाँ यस
Okay,
वेरी
okay,
नाइस वेरी नाइस. ओके.
Yeah. Hope now it is visible and with a clarity.
यस यस
Hope.
यस यस मैम.
So just now we covered with extent features of the desert condition, semi-arid conditions. The northeast here again this shows a very much different conditions and having a complete different fauna, namely as a red panda, very commonly, and this is meant for the sanctuary also for the conservation of the rhino. The clouded leopards, this is specifically found in the northeast area, great hornbill, and the Indian elephants. Uh, could you connect why I have put such pictures as a part of my presentation? Just now we have covered the diverse condition, and what this slide is revealing to say anything, anybody?
Due to urbanization or more buildings, diversity is lost due to loss of plants
Yeah,
Yes.
thank you,
or
sir.
forest area.
Yeah, thank you. Uh, just now I use the term we are very much blessed, but in the race from converting from developing to the developed countries, we are towards the runner or as a part of the marathon to get a developed countries. But whenever there is a development, it comes parallelly with a saying that development is parallel to the destruction, and this picture is trying to reveal same message. I hope you and everyone can found it does not occurs in a once a day. It slowly as per our need we are just exploring or we are keep siding the green coverage to satisfy our need in the form of the infrastructures or to getting the more agriculture land or whatever the habitat zone or for the making nowadays this is very common practice, the roads have been converted into the cement forms, and most of the I will talk with our state, that is specifically to the Nagpur, the Maharashtra state. We got a number of the cement roads, and for constructing this, though we have got a good transportation system, but at the cost of the trees. Age old trees has been dispersed in this area, and we are enjoying, no doubt we are enjoying, the traveling becomes very the time zone has been cut because of such a well developed transportation system. But sadly we want to extend that it is on the cost of the trees, that we can't replace by planting trees now. Okay, so these are some causes. These are the all the pictures which shows how the diversity or the flora and fauna has been impacted. It's very frequently we come across with a newspaper about the uh, local people's interaction or the conflicts between the wildlife as well as the local people. And finally, these such type of the picture we come across, which is very heartfelting as well as broken. This is the fact that 1/3 of our wetlands, these are getting drained off. Natural forest has been half, near 50. It is only saying 50%, but it is more than 50% that the natural forest has gone. The as the development is very high during that during last 10 years, that shows a very drastic change in the natural forest area. 70% of the water bodies get polluted, and the mangroves, which is in the pockets of the coastal lines, it is very any change in the oceanic conditions, that the mangroves play a bioindicator. So it just wipe out from that particular zone. And 40% of the mangroves has been just wiped out. These are the extinct animals which is there. About 500 species of the mammals. There was in the past 500 species of the mammals, but now it has shown a different pictures. The pictures of the birds are about 1220 species of the birds, 1600 species of the reptiles and amphibians, while the 57,000 of species of the insects, these are all reported in the past. But as the habitat loss is very frequently it is occurring, the number has been very much frequently it has been changed, and whatever the butterflies and the beetles, the insect which is not covered in this zone, that is highly impacted because of the development or the change of the habitat zone. This shows a comparative increase in the endangered species. Endangered species are those which are towards the extinctions. So if proper conservation of, if we are not getting alert now, that leads to the extinct. And once the species gets extinct, we won't be able to regain it again. Some plants are also which is a part of this. So wildlife extinction, we have to very much careful about the word extinction, because it has a large impact on our world, and the most of the people are not aware that if uh, at least 5 million years for the speciation, if the particular species has been lost, it requires another large time zone to get rebuilt, and the biodiversity which are likely to be destroyed, it should be regained. It is not easy to regain that one. So it's a alarming condition to we have to focus on this zone. The instrumental value of some species should not be taken into the consideration. Species which provide economic value in the form of either of the food crops, fuel food, as well as the paper and medicines, these are also affecting the genetic information, which is a very relative data in the form of the species, are also plays a key role for the research as well as the development. The information which is used to create a new crop types in the form of the food, medicine, and the vaccines, that are also losing. Plants and the animals of the earth, these are the most important because of the recreational pleasure they provide us with. So affecting the wildlife is not directly, if we are affecting or there is a loss of the habitat, that indirectly affects the wildlife zone. So nowadays we are very much familiar with the term of the ecotourism. And ecotourism, on one side, whenever there is a one part is leading to the growth, the other is on the loss. uh, the saying, the coin has the two face, it always justifies. अगर development है तो destruction है. Like ecotourism, these are very fascinating nowadays, but because of the ill behavior of the human beings, we are not giving a comfort zone to the wild animals, though it is very fascinating, but it is creating a hurdles uh, to the leading the wildlife in a easy way. What happens if the wildlife has been depleted? So that is directly affecting to the food chain, ecosystem, reduction in the numbering of the animals, that leads to the danger to the human life, affecting the diversity, affecting the biodiversity, which is in the form of the economic value as well as the genetic forms. So because of these, we are here to learn about the need of the conservation. Before that, one video is there. I want to share that one. Is video visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, yes.
चलो ठीक है
So, what this video convey the message? Anybody?
Relation between different species, madam.
Relation between different species. Yes, sir. Anything else we can reveal or connect with this video? It is the hint is that it is revealing the activities now the India imported some wild animals. Have you heard if six?
Cheetahs.
Yeah,
Cheetahs.
yes, yeah,
Yes.
So
Kuno
many,
National Park.
many,
Yes. Yes.
many of the people have that it's wasting of the money. What is the necessary and etc. etc. So I just put this video so that you can all connect with this top theme. Why it is necessary to get a higher the complete food chain. As the wolf are there, they control the number of the deers. Isn't the video is it started with this topic? He wolves they entered that zone, and because of their presence, the number of the deer has been lowered. Because the wolf it is a carnivorous, it is the highest position in the food chain, and the deers these are the primary herbivores. So that is the checking the number of the deer because the number of the deer has been increased, that is losing the grassland, and that zone has not been developed in their proper habitat zone. This happened because the number of the deer has been increased. To control that number, the introduction of wolves play a just the changing of the game zone, and how the habitat zone it reflected now it's completely distinct from the earlier zone. So this is the thing why each and every organism is very important. We can't say कि अगर एक extinct हो गया है तो it's okay, बाकी तो इतने numbers पे हैं. Near about 1.5 million animals has been there which are sharing in the planet, but every species play their key roles. So everyone is important. Everyone has its own weightage.
Right,
So
ma'am.
with yes,
Right.
with this note, I just shared the video. Hope you all will try to connect this. Okay. So coming with our topic, what is the conservation? This is the actual topic talk. So अगर वाइल्ड लाइफ वर्ड से क्या क्या आप लोग कनेक्ट कर सकते हो? वाइल्ड लाइफ यानी क्या समझ में आता है आप लोग को? क्योंकि आप लोग काफी अलग अलग सब्जेक्ट से होंगे, तो वाइल्ड लाइफ अगर वर्ड आता है तो आप व्हाट विल बी द सिनोनिम इन योर लैंग्वेज फॉर द वाइल्ड लाइफ, और
So
टू whom the you are consider these are the wildlife?
basically, those animals and the plant system related to the forest.
Yes.
Means,
Which is not
Why?
domesticated. No, which is not
Yes, right,
domesticated.
right,
And
right.
yes. So those sharing the wild habitat, the forest zone. So that animals are termed as a wildlife. That may be the animals, maybe the
Maybe
microorganism, maybe the
micro.
plants, anyone. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
So we are very much known that the animals, these are hunted for their skins. Why the number of the animals has been lowered? Because of the greediness of the human beings. We are just hunted for the recreational purpose, earlier for the recreational purpose. Nowadays the greed level has been increased, and these are very valuable material, so they are hunted for their greediness in the form of to obtaining the skins, nails, horns, as well as the meat. The skins, these are used for manufacturing of different clothes, ropes, and many useful items. These leads to the unnecessary. However, we have just discussed the different parameters what have affected the habitat. But the human being, another that introduce and it plays a major role for disturbing the wildlife. So that's why to prevent the wildlife species from uneven poaching and killing, the wildlife conservation come into the existence. This is defined under the section of 237 of the Wildlife Protection Act. This Wildlife Protection Act, because of these all the activities, these come into the enforce in 1972. However, before the Wildlife Protection Act in 1938, the initiative has been already took forward in the form of the conservation. So it includes any animal from, it may be in the habitat zone from the aquatic, terrestrial, in the form of the vegetation that forms of specific habitat. The conservation, it is allowed in as per the Indian law. It is mainly meant for the protection, preservation, and restoration. The practice of the wildlife conservation that involves measure to protect the wild species and their habitat, to maintain a healthy count of their population, and to restore or enhance the natural ecosystem. Wildlife conservation आपने देखा भी होगा कि in the form of the zoo, it has been there. We discussed that one, how the conservation is further classified as, but basically the wildlife conservation is to protect the organism in their parent zoo. What happens to wildlife conservation? How it is advantageous? तो अभी आपको मैंने एक वीडियो शेयर किया था that makes a clear pictures and just justify the bullets of the advantages, that it helps to maintain balance in the ecosystems. All the living beings are interconnected to each other, whether a lion or the human being or every organism that plays a significant role in the ecosystem, and that leads to the unknown interconnection between them. This helps, if wildlife conservation are there, that helps to maintain the natural habitat, and that leads to the protection of the complete habitat zone. The proper maintenance of the food chain is also a part of the wildlife conservation. That is very much revealed by the videos. That video is there here, what we just uh, watched. How, what are the Indian laws? What are the international conventions that took extra efforts to maintain these consistency in the habitat zone? So, by the Constitution of the India that has a fundamental rights, and that included the articles in the form of the 51A. Here, the 51AG that reveals the fundamental duty of the citizen to protect wildlife and compassion of the living creatures. While the second article, which is enforced as a Indian law, that provides the duty of the state government to protect or extending distinguished projects to safeguard and work for the improvement of the forest as well as wildlife of the country. These are the principles and the duty which is keep in mind even more now, and since the crime, other than the efforts, certain natural conditions which is affecting in the form of the climate crisis, destruction by through the natural environment, as well as the wildlife has been taken over. All of us which are very much familiar with the term of the MOEF. Yes, MOEF आप सभी लोग को पता होगा. Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate. Ministry of Environment, earlier it is known as a Ministry of Environment. Now, because of the addition of the climate changes, now it has been extended as Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, MOEF and CC. This is the nodal ministry which is representing the government of India, the highest authority, government of India, and it is interacting with internationally in the form of the various conventions, treaties in matter of the environment. This is specifically meant for the environment, not only for the wildlife environment. It includes all the organisms, all the living and non-living ones. And do the non-living things also play a key role for the habitat zone? अभी मैंने आपको बोला कि Ministry of Environment this plays a key role for maintaining the environmental conditions. The environment that has been divided into biotic and abiotic condition. So biotic यानी living होता है, abiotic non-living होता है. तो non-living का कोई role होता है क्या living beings पे?
होता है मैडम, इम्पोर्टेंट रोल होता है.
Yes, sir.
Just like gas, water molecules, soil, everything is a non-living.
Yes, yes.
This is the abiotic factor.
And because of these, it directly affect the living beings. And this ऐसा हम बोलते थे कि नॉन लिविंग की क्या जरूरत है, मतलब एक ऐसा कंसेप्ट था. बट as we are grown up, as we are becoming more aware, then we found that these plays a key role. अगर पानी अच्छा नहीं है तो it is directly affecting the all living beings. पानी नॉन लिविंग है. हवा शुद्ध नहीं है तो वो अफेक्ट करेगी, सॉइल शुद्ध नहीं है तो वो अफेक्ट करेंगे, जो कि अभी हो रहा है. So the non-living, it plays a key role for the maintenance of the living beings. So biotic factors that is directly depends on the abiotic factors. Discussing the internationally role, Indian laws may already two articles are contributing for the maintenance of the proper environmental as well, which work as a conservation. What the international convention? So here it has been divided into five major conventions. The Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of the Wild Fauna and the Flora. The CITES. This here the trade the endangered species like the cheetah, which is now extinct. So that trading there has been an MOU internationally it has been placed. So that work, the project which is now the cheetah is running, it is running on this behalf. The Convention of the Conservation of Migratory Species of the Wild Animals. Another is the International Union for the conservation of nature as well as the natural resources. Then the International Whaling Commissions, and the last one is the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, that is the World Heritage Committee. I think this is very much familiar to you all. So these are not only related to the environment, but it is also conserving the cultural organization. The culture, it has to be very much protected, the cultural zone as well as the heritage zone also, which is neglected in our part or in our sites. Present statistics. So many of the species and the varieties of the animals, plants that poses or that are towards the threat of the extinct. These are classified as a endangered and need as attention in order to the save all that remains. You all are very much come across with the vulnerable, endangered and threatened. ये तीन आप बहुत ही extinct, तो that is very much clear to everyone, but vulnerable, that leads, that is giving a alarming. Now the organism will be towards the danger zone. It is towards danger. Endangered, that means these are that giving a alarm that we have to protect, otherwise it will be extinct. So in this way they have been classified, they have been zoned. So presently in India 70 प्लस इसीलिए नोट किया जाता है, जैसे कि मैं आपको फिगर दे रही हूँ आज, तो दैट कैन बी प्लस माइनस. Recently, Animal Discovery, which is released by the ZSI Kolkata, they give you the very updated features, which is reported as their survey based till the 2022. So that's why it can be fluctuating. So that's why it is revealed in the form of the 70 plus critically endangered animals, while 300 animals that falls under the category of the endangered. Critical means it has to be taken care, otherwise it will lose forever. So that is the critical word has been added. Animal which is falling under the category of critical endangered, and these are assigned as a very highest risk, which is assigned by the IUCN. IUCN, it is International Union for the Conservation of the Nature, and this is established in 1978. Later on, it is also known as the protection of the nature. पहले वो protection of the nature के लिए था. Now the conservation, the word has been given in the form of the conservation. सिर्फ हम protect नहीं कर रहे, उसको conserve भी कर रहे हैं. Okay, so this is listed as in the form of the red list to the wild species. This is giving a pictures the clear status of the organisms. It may be the animals, it may be the plant, whether it is categorized on which level, whether it is it is in a okay condition where there is no any conservation is required, or it requires certain conservation. So that gives you the category in the form of the vulnerable, endangered, critically endangered, and that leads, if it is not taken, it is leads to the extinct one. So here the evidences that indicates the population has declined or it reduced or will decrease by greater than 80% of their last 10 years or the 3 generation. This is because of the loss of the geographical ranges. So the fluctuation of the very small population that leads to the 250 individual, that leads to the continue to the decline of the 25% in the 3 years or the generation. The very small or restricted population of the fewer than 50 mature individual, they have a high probability towards the extinction. At present, what is the present condition? So the number of which indicates about 10 mammals, 15 birds, 6 reptiles, and 19 species of the amphibians, as well as 14 figure out as a fishes. These are critically categorized as a endangered one. Okay, so we have studied what the India plays for the conservation, what is the present status, how the central government plays the role, how it has taken the initiative for the conservation measures. So while the Wildlife Protection Act, which is introduced in 1972, these are the initiative of the central government, and these are provides or creating protected areas that is meant for the wildlife protection. These are also enlist the punishment penalties to be imposed if if the hunting of the specified fauna which is residing in the Schedule 1 to 4. Schedule 1 to 4, that is given the status as per the extinction, vulnerable, or the endangered one. So Schedule 1 is critically should need a critical conservation. That's why it is scheduled in the 1. So they have been listed, and if these scheduled animals were hunted, the person has to be punished, as well as penalty has been provided. That is included as a Wildlife Protection Act. Wildlife Crime Patrol Bureau, it is another initiative by the central government. This is mainly for preventing illegal trading and hunting of the wildlife. Here, the hunting is to obtain the products if it is specifically from the endangered one. If not from the endangered, again it is there in the penalties if they are trading any precious material of the wildlife. So that enforces, and this is also coordinated with a state government for the effective enforcement of the law. Other organizations like Wildlife Institute of India, WII, the Bombay Natural Society, and the Salim Ali Center for Ornithology, as well as the Natural History, these are mainly specified under took the work for the research. These are the agency which continuously take an initiative for the exploring the diversity as well as the status of the animals. Like Bombay Natural Societies as well as the Salim Ali, these are the mainly work for the birds. Ornithology is the word, it is the word for the conservation or the diversity status of the birds. And these undertook the research on the conservation of the wildlife. Sorry. Another empowered one is the Central Bureau of Investigation, that is CBI. Here, this prosecute wildlife offenders. Here, they identify the illegal hunters and men, which is involving it as a Wildlife Protection Act. The government has banned the hunting. Already it has been banned, the hunting of the endangered species of animals. Even the veterinary use, namely the specific drug which you all very much familiar, the content as a part of a content in the form of the diclofenac. Hope you all are aware of this drug.
Yes, ma'am.
So this is already banned because कोई बता सकेगा क्यों बैन किया था? What is the direct impact to the wildlife? What is the connection with the wildlife?
Which drug, ma'am?
Because of the vultures, ma'am.
Which-
Vultures
Yes,
population was decreased.
yes, sir.
Hmm,
Yes,
hmm.
it was mentioned in the PPT itself. Diclofenac, it's a pain relieving drug that we are frequently using. But what happens? The vultures, the highest carnivores, the highest peak of the food chain, which is also known as a cleaning agent. These are the
Cleaning
cleanser
agent,
of
right.
our, yeah,
Yes.
cleanser of our environment. Whatever the dead and decaying body, they just feed on those and helps the environment to clean from these dead and decaying materials. But the content of the diclofenac that rapidly affect the population of the vulture, and that's why this initiative has took place. Another initiative in the form of the conservation of the breeding programs that has been initiated to conserve the vultures at location specifically as Pinjora, Buxar, Rani, Guwahati. This is initiative which is carried out by specific agency of Bombay Natural History Society, BNHS. Newer component has been also introduced, that is in the form of the recovery of endangered species. This included a integrated development of the wildlife habitat, which is centrally sponsored. हर स्कीम को अगर प्रॉपरली कैरी फॉरवर्ड करना है तो प्रॉपर फंड शुड बी मेंटेन, क्योंकि बहुत सारे स्कीम लॉन्च होते हैं बट ड्यू टू द क्राइसिस ऑफ द फाइनेंशियल दैट हैज बीन नॉट स्मूथली रनिंग. इनिशिएटिव तो होता है, ऑन डॉक्यूमेंटेशन भी होता है, बट द स्टेटस अगर स्टेटस उसका ट्रैक करें तो दैट लीड्स टू द इनएक्टिव और टुवर्ड्स द साइलेंट जोन. So here, this initiative has taken place in the form of the integrated development of the wildlife habitats and sponsored by centrally. So here they have included 16 species which is identified for the recovery. These are namely as snow leopards, which is in the Jammu and Kashmir, as well as Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Arunachal Pradesh, bustard from the as well as dolphin, hangul, and Himachal Pradesh. The turtles and certain swiftlet from the Andaman and Nicobars, Asian wild buffaloes. These are the listed one which is needing a recovery. Specialized recovery is carried out by the initiative of the centrally sponsored scheme, and lakhs of the money has been invested for the recovery of these endangered listed one. The central government, it is also established a countrywide protected areas mainly that has been classified as national parks, sanctuaries, as in the form of the bioreserves, community reserves, which is covering the important habitat that has been created as per the provision of the wildlife. And that leads, that declaration of that as a protected area, that leads with a vision for a proper protection of the wildlife, which is including in the threatened flora and fauna, in particular that habitat zone. Here, near about 730 protected areas, which is including 103. Now it has been increased to 106 as per the ZSI report. 535 wildlife sanctuaries, 26 communities which is categorized as a reserves, and 66 conservation reserves in different regions. So here the financial and the technical assistance is extended in collaboration with a state government or a distinguished union territories, and these are also led by the central government, and in the form of the integrated development of the wildlife habitat, Project Tigers and the Project Elephant. These are the major projects which is initiated by the central government and look forward with their state government as well as the union territories. Another one, the enactment of the National Biological Diversity Act, that is NBA 2022. It is ensuring the protection of the threatened species. अभी तक हम लोग endangered species के बारे में पढ़ रहे थे. Now, another agency which is work with our threatened species with their habitat. Here, under Section 38 of NPA, these are towards the verge of the extinction if it is or likely to be extinct in the near future if it is not taken care or it has been notified. The Indian government took work extensively, hardly to take up important wildlife protection projects, which is named as a Project Tiger, Elephant, Crocodile Conservations, Sea Turtle projects, Project of the Rhino, and the Indian Bustard, the Great Indian Bustards. These are many with eco-development projects. Others which is there that I would like to share the list. These are the projects which are carried out in a different state, which is run with a center, initiated by the central government and carry forward by the state government or the territories and at the local levels. These are the types of the conservations. मैंने आपको बोला था कंजर्वेशन हो रहा है, बट इट कैन बी in the form of the it can be classified as in situ conservation and ex situ conservation. आप लोगों ने अभी जितने भी हमने गवर्नमेंट के इनिशिएटिव्स पढ़े, there you come across with a national park, sanctuary, reserves, and scared groves. These are the in situ conservation. In situ means on the site, and ex situ in out of the site. So, what is the ex situ? It is the botanical gardens, the captive breeding, seed banks, and the aquarium, as well as the zoo, which is maintained or looked forward with in a specific manner. Sir, how many minutes we are left with? Can anybody?
Half an hour, ma'am.
Because I need more 15. Okay. Yeah, okay. So, just detailing of what is the distinguished type of the conservation. In situ conservation, it is the in situ. It is a Latin term that translates in place. In place, that is in their original position. In situ, that is something that occurs in their natural condition or their original environment without moving the organism from their native place. They have to be conserved. That means in situ conservation. Here, the protection of the biodiversity and maintaining the health of the ecosystem, so that it can so that the species can continue to live in that environment where they have naturally born and grown. So, with the aim, the animals will grow, properly develop in their parental or the native condition. With this thought, the in situ conservation took place. In situ conservation is important because it allows species to evolve naturally. यहाँ पे हमको सिर्फ वो particular zone को protect करना है. It doesn't do anything. They just evolve naturally and adapt as per the changing condition, and that also, if it is remain undisturbed, that leads to the improve and the sustainability of the ecosystem. So, what are the advantages of the in situ conservation? That leads to the preservation of the genetic diversity. There is no binding from the external force, so they just grow, develop, reproduce, and that leads to increase or getting the diverse genetic pool as well as the preservation. That helps in the maintenance of the ecosystem. It in situ that make sure complex ecological interaction with the mechanism of predator-prey relationship. It also enhance with a feature of the pollination as well as the symbiosis among the species. In situ that leads to the preservation of the habitat. Here, the protection of the entire habitat is carried out, which includes forest, wetlands, as well as other marine environmental conditions that also lead to the conservation of the rare as well as the endangered species. This leads to the promotion of the sustainable land use. The land use that balances the human needs and leads to the smooth development with taking care of the conservation of that particular habitat. However, every coin has the two faces, some advantages, but some disadvantages also there. Here, despite the in situ conservation efforts are taken by the government, the natural habitats may still face the degradation and fragmentation. हम ये देखते हैं, ये we all are very much aware कि ये particular zone reserves या फिर sanctuary has been declared, but the nearby local peoples, they just go and do their daily activities such as lodging, agriculture, as well as the infrastructure development. So for that, they just easily move that particular protected areas and leads to the disturbance. Another disadvantage which is occur in the form of the human wildlife conflicts. This is again a very common feature which faces here. The challenges are very high to solve the conflicts between the wildlife and the humans. The invasive species, here the disadvantage of the in situ that includes that areas are sometimes open to the invasive species and that defeat the native species and can become a danger to the biodiversity. Directly, the environmental factors it affected because there is no external protection is provided, so that the environmental factors plays a key role here, as there is a climate change impact, so that leads to the fluctuation of the temperature, humidity, heat, which harms directly to that particular ecosystem. Then the last one, the limited resources. One of the other disadvantages there, the conservation can be lack. It is not properly conserved because lack of the sufficient resources for proper enforcement and the monitoring of the particular habitat or the organisms. Moving to the another type for how we can continue with a conservation is the ex situ. It is a Latin term and it translates out of the place. In situ, within the place, and here it is out of the place, that is outside the original place. Here this means that something which is the protection is provided or the conservation is carried out of their native zone, from their natural habitat or from their original environment. Ex situ conservation that involves various strategies for the practices for conserving the biological diversity outside their natural habitat of the species. Here they plays a crucial role for preventing the extinction of an endangered or the threatened species. By maintaining the population in a controlled environment, it provides a safety net against destructive events, diseases or other factors that could lead to the decline of the species in the wild conditions. जैसे हमने बोला इन सिटू में अगर हम उसको नेचुरल हैबिटेट में जोन करते हैं, इफ द स्पीशीज आर endangered or critically endangered, if a proper protection is not provided in situ, there is a condition when there is a invasive infections or because of the environmental factor that can be affected, that particular ecosystem can be affected and leads towards the critically endangered zone or towards the extinction, which we can retrieve by the ex situ conservation. We can provide the extra required zone of the protection, and that can be simply able to multiply in a protected zone. So the decline condition can be overcome by the ex situ conservation. So what are the advantages? Here the species survival. This provides a great advantage of the ex situ conservation because it provides a safety net for the endangered and the threatened species and helping their survival in the face of the immediate threats, such habitat destruction, disease or the over exploitation. In situ में ये सारी चीजों को हम कंट्रोल नहीं कर सकते थे, but ये protected zone है, out of their nature surrounding, we are protecting, we are the safeguarding. So these are the threats which are not applicable in the ex situ, and that's why the survival rate of the species of particular endangered and threatened species are more as in the ex situ. The genetic diversity preservation is there. It allows the captive breeding program that allow the preservation of genetic diversity of the population. Here the genetic diversity preservation is one of the important advantage of the ex situ conservation, that the genes has been protected. Here emergency response, whatever the emergencies are there, we are there to outbreak such natural disaster or the disease outbreaks, and it is very beneficial for the conservation. It provides research opportunities as the organism are in direct contact, so we can undergo in a controlled environment conditions, so we can expect or we study various aspects in the form of the species biology, their behavior, how they behave in that particular conditions, and the health perspectives, how the growth and the development is, and that is very evenly studied in a ex situ conditions. Disease management is another part where we can control the native species and isolating the treating individuals in a control environment, and it helps to manage diseases affecting the wildlife. But the other face of the coin, it has certain limitations. So why it won't be work in every condition? Because of the limited space, like artificial environment in ex situ conservations, namely zoos, botanical garden, that provide limited space compared to the expansive natural habitat of the species. This is lead to a specific zone, limited space, which is not a conditional for the wild habitat to be given. So this become a disadvantage. Artificial environment, we are providing the artificial conditions which is not replicating. So in some certain cases it is not fruitful also. Behavior changes in a captive. These are wild animals, these are free moving. They just move in a without any control condition. But when it is kept in a control condition, we can certainly study their behavior changes, namely in the form of the stress, stereotypic behavior, and altered social structures. Cost and resources is also plays a key role for this. Maintaining their facilities, this becomes in a ex situ condition, that taking care, feeding, veterinary treatments, these are all leads to the burden to the state, local government, state government, as well as leading to the central government. Disease transmissions. Here, as we learned that disease transmission can be controlled, but another phase, another part, how this is the disadvantage, it includes the outbreak. If in a captive zone any outbreak has been there, then there is a risk of the captive, the affecting of captive population is more than in the free zone, and leads to the complicate reintroduction efforts, because these are the protection for the time being, and from the captive zone to introduce in a free zone, again it's a challenging one. So these are the certain disadvantages which is a part of our program of the ex situ conservation. These are the national park, wildlife sanctuary, and the biospheres reserves. These are the categories of the zones. These are included in which type, ex situ or in situ?
In situ, madam.
Yes, yes. So as a part of the continuation कि इन situ में हमने अलग अलग zones पढ़े हैं. National park होता है, wildlife sanctuary होती है, but how they can be defined? So national park, these are not given to the biotic community as a whole. It is connected to the habitat that particular animal. जैसे हमने बोला ना, project tiger, project घड़ियाल. So that is specific to that particular wildlife animal. While the wildlife sanctuary, these are attention is not given to the biotic community as whole. The conservation is rather, it is species same as in the form of the, here it is included the plant varieties also. Sanctuary, it is not leaded to the biotic condition, but in the national park it is protecting towards the animal and force towards the animal, while in the sanctuary that is including the plant as well the animal. While the reserve, these are focused on the biotic community as a whole, the complete zone, and thus the conservation of complete ecosystem. So that's why the protected zone has been classified according to the what type of the protection they are provided, or they have been leading to extend the protection. They have been classified as a park, sanctuary, as well as the bioreserves. So these are the points there. The area has been for the national park, it is near about 0.4 to 3.162 kilometers, while the size of the sanctuary is more, while it is in between biospheres, that remains in between the park as well as the sanctuaries. So national park, the tourism is not permissible, but it is often encouraged. Here for the sanctuary we easily move. Normally the tourism is not possible in the reserve also. The zone, we are very much familiar with a zone. This is the difference. It is easily able to distinguish between these two, these three one. Wildlife sanctuaries, here the poaching and the capturing, it is not allowed. National park, they are They are protecting these bioreserves as well as in the form of the complete protection of the biotic systems. This is very familiar to you all. Whenever we move towards the protected area, we come across with a term as a buffer zone and the core zone. Yes. जैसे रिजर्व पार्क्स वगैरह में आप लोग मूव करते हो ना, टूरिज्म फॉर योर विजिट, whenever you go with a area, here whatever the protected area, that is not a created one. In a natural environment, the specific area, the forest area where the habitat has been distinct, or the reported wild animals territories has been defined, that has been declared as a protected zone. And that protected zone can be a park, can be a sanctuary, can be a bioreserve. So this figure that is trying to reveal how that has been classified. So that particular specific area, that particular habitat, it is declared as a protected zone. That can include human settlement. The local people, the villagers can be a part of that particular zone. So here that has been internally the for rich in the forest area, the habitat zone, which is specifically meant, that has been given a boundaries, and they further classified as a buffer zone, where the movement is permitted, but the core zone, there the movement is not permitted. However, the human settlement in the surrounding of this protected area, there between the human settlement and the buffer zone, the zone is called as a transition zone. ट्रांजिशन जोन इसीलिए कि जो वहाँ के लोकल पीपल है, दे आर डिपेंडेंट ऑन द फॉरेस्ट for earning the woods, the fruit berries, for the leaves. So certain things, these are dependent, specifically the tribal peoples. They are dependent on the forest product. So that zone has a distinct boundary, and that is known as a transition zone. These are the important national park where we can spend time and connect with our nearby greenery zone. These are the strategies how the species can be evaluated. जो हमने बोला ना, categories किया जाता है, extinct one, endangered one, or the threatened one, how they are categorized. So species, जो भी species दिख रही है, that undergo the evaluation. Species, the number of the agency which studies on the diversity, on the behavior of the animals, they undergo the census also. So they undergo with the evaluation. Certain factors that leads no evaluation, when it gets evaluated, the data has been generated. If the adequate data is there, that can be further classified. In our adequate data means क्या होता है कि हमको हर जो ये study होती है, that is accompanying of near about a specific time period of the zone. उस particular time zone में अगर वो reported है several time, then that data has been generated. Otherwise the data is inadequate. It is reported क्योंकि हम वहाँ पे क्या लिखेंगे, तो that has been reported as inadequate data. It has to be reported. If you go with the IUCN red data book, you find DD. DD is data deficient. So that doesn't leads, but adequate data that can be further classified as the extinct one, extinct in the wild one, the critical danger, vulnerable, as well as the towards the threatened one. So these are the position how it has been classified. Moving towards, there is a time, so just I want to discuss about the our state. So what is the status of our Maharashtra? How the conservation has been implemented? Near about 6 national parks, 50 sanctuaries, and 15 reserves has been reported in the Maharashtra state. 6, we are very much familiar with our tiger projects, and most of us or everyone has visited the tiger forest project for their recreation purpose. Here the some important projects, tiger projects are Melghat, Tadoba, Andhari, Pench, Sahyadri, Navegaon, Nagchira, and these the Bor. Here, as per the National Tiger Conservation Authority, that is NTCA, status of tiger in India is by 218. It is estimated that Maharashtra was 312 against 190 in 2014. So it is directly shows the impact of conservation. The government which runs several projects. One of the project is the tiger project. This figure 312, that is giving a impact, the effect of the conservation, what it was in 190 in 2014, but it has been increased by not more than the double folds. Now, recently, 12 new conservation reserve has been introduced, namely as Chivantibari, Aldhari in Dhule, Kalwan, Muradgad, Timbrekeshwar, Igatpuri, that is in the Nashik, Raigad and Roha of the Raigad district, Bor in the Pune, Dhare as Khurad in the Satara, Masai in the Kolhapur, and the Mugar Kasa in the Nagpur area. So these are the new conservation reserves has been introduced recently. We are very much familiar with a national park in the Maharashtra, and it shows a thrilling experience whenever we move or whenever we spend some time as a tourism. So that gives a marvelous experience and give a scenic natural beauty of these places. Total 16, as I have said, total 16 national parks are in the Maharashtra. These are the listed of this one. The impact of conservation strategy. अभी तक जो भी हमने conservations पढ़ा, whatever the efforts we found in the Indian, in the national as well as international level, that shows, and this is the data. It is there in the. This is recreated from the Zoological Survey of India, which is recently published. That shows the study which is carried out right from the 2010 to 21, that reveals about 4,652 species, of which 3,206 new species and 1,446 new records. This has been added or enriched the status of the Indian fauna, and this regards to the maximization of new species in 407, which is described in 20, and minimum of 28 species in 2010, where the maximum new records has been founded as 257 in 2010, and lowest will be the 54 species. The scientists that took a extensive workout and contributed with a figuring, the scientists which is revealing from the Zoological Survey of India, that contribution was about 33.65%, and other agencies that describe about 69% of the records what is we shared now. This figure it is shown in a phylum zone, how the species are occurring. The maximum species which is found or it is discovered in time zone from 2010 to 22 is from the Hymenoptera. Hymenoptera, it is a order of from the phylum Arthropoda. Arthropoda is non-chordates, invertebrates. What you all are familiar, invertebrates या non-chordates में आता है Arthropoda phylum. और Arthropoda phylum, it is the largest phylum, as the organism of this arthropoda that is found in every drastic condition. वो desert में भी मिलेंगे, snowy covered area में भी मिलेंगे, extreme heat zone में मिलेंगे, extreme cold zone में मिलेंगे. That means इनका जो habitat zone है बहुत vast है, तो इनके inter competition बहुत low होता है, जिसकी वजह से इनका जो number है बहुत ज़्यादा highest है. Means non-chordates में 85 to 90% are covered with a single phylum of the arthropoda. And इसमें भी order, it is further classified as subphylum, then the class, subclass, then order. The order it is insecta. जो जितने भी हमारे सराउंडिंग में इंसेक्ट्स देखते हैं वो यही ऑर्डर में आते हैं, इंसेक्टा. So from that insecta order, it is further classified as the class insecta, sorry, the class insecta, it is further classified as order, और order में आता है hymenoptera. जो आप hymenoptera आपके लिए बहुत नया word होगा, लेकिन हनी भी आप लोग देखते हो, ants आप लोग देखते हो. These are the social animal. सोशल एनिमल इसीलिए क्योंकि ये कभी भी अकेले नहीं दिखेंगे. एंड्स को आप देखोगे तो कहीं पे भी जाएंगे तो ग्रुप में जाएंगे, एंड दे हैव अ वेरी स्ट्रॉन्ग कम्युनिकेशन सिस्टम. Same with the honeybee as well as the ant, and these are sharing the order Hymenoptera. And here we found a different species varieties, near about 93 in the records, followed with the Archinida. Archinida, it is a the zone which is shared as commonly known as a spiders. Spiders we are very much familiar. जितने भी आप ये देख रहे हो, Hymenoptera, Archinida and Hemiptera, these are revealing from a single phylum, that is Arthropoda. मतलब Arthropoda के ही इतने Arthropoda single phylum से इतने सारे new species has been formed. फिर बाकी तो फिर Reptilia, it is another class. Lepidoptera, again it is a part of the Insecta. Coleoptera, Epimeroptera, these are again three, it is sharing a common phylum of the Arthropoda. That means जो हम लोग देखते हैं कि लार्जेस्ट फाइलम है, तो लार्जेस्ट फाइलम में जितनी ज्यादा डाइवर्सिटी रहेगी उतना इवोल्यूशन ज्यादा अच्छा होगा. तो दैट इज द ग्राफ, इट इज शोइंग हाउ द न्यू स्पीशीज हैज बीन इवॉल्व ड्यूरिंग दिस स्टडी इज टेकन फ्रॉम द डिस्कवरी which is reported in the 2021. So moving with our recommendation, I just want to share that the aim of the presentation, as I stated, it is very close to my heart. I take the opportunity to just convey the message that we have the article 51, that it our duty, every citizen has the duty to look forward towards the conservation strategy. So so loving Mother Earth, nature and the animals, which we do, but unknowingly we just harm our surrounding. So just with a thought, we have to conserve, we have to avail the life. There is a certain habitat beyond ourselves which needs certain attention. So there it is requested as a part of the conclusion that forest and the wildlife, these are the renewable natural resource, and if all our planned programs are effectively executed, in a few decades the flora and the fauna will start flourishing. So with this note, just feel that sharing this presentation will be a driving force of the thought about the conservation towards the wildlife. With this all, thank you organizer for giving me such a blessed opportunity to share my thoughts, and thank you all the participants for your patient learning. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
It was such a wonderful lecture, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
And
Thank you, ma'am.
really good one.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you will be more effective if initiative will be taken place. Just wish, just a wish. Yeah.
Right, ma'am. Right.
थैंक यू सो मच वर्मा मैम, बहुत अच्छा लेक्चर था, काफी नॉलेजेबल भी था, और डाइवर्सिटी के प्रति हम लोग को जागरूक करने के लिए भी ये काफी अच्छा आपका लेक्चर रहा. और वाइल्ड लाइफ को कैसे सेव करना, स्पीसीज को कैसे सेव करना, और ये क्यों चीज की जरूरत है, आपने बहुत ही अच्छे से इसके बारे में बताया. मिलिंद,
Yes, sir.
vote of
Yes,
thanks.
sir. Okay, sir. Okay.
Sir, before that, anybody have any queries, or if anybody have any thought processing, if you started with any planning, just want to share, or you can share the thought process also. Neither with only the queries, you can go with your thought process. If anybody.
Madam,
Yes.
Madam,
Yes, sir.
more informative lecture, madam. मैडम एक क्वेश्चन था मेरा
जी सर.
कि आपने इन सिटू कंजर्वेशन में डिसएडवांटेज में ह्यूमन एन एनिमल कॉन्फ्लिक्ट कहा मैडम। इन
हम्म।
सिटू कल्चर में तो मैडम हम उनके ओन हैबिटेट में उसको कल्चर करते हैं, तो उसके डिसएडवांटेज में एनिमल एंड ह्यूमन कॉन्फ्लिक्ट कैसे आएगा मैडम? हम तो उनके
यस सर, वेरी वेरी की क्वेश्चन सर, ये बहुत ही जस्टिफाइड क्वेश्चन है। क्योंकि अभी देखिए आप न्यूज़पेपर में एवरी टाइम यू जस्ट कम विथ अ कि टाइगर ने अटैक किया या
यस
वाइल्ड पिग, वाइल्ड बोर ने अटैक किया, है ना, ये हम
यस
बहुत फ्रिक्वेंटली सुन रहे हैं, राइट? तो मैंने
और
अभी आपको,
छत्तीसगढ़ मैडम एलिफेंट का है,
यस,
छत्तीसगढ़ में
एलिफेंट का है।
सरगुजा डिस्ट्रिक्ट में एलिफेंट का है। जी
जी सर, वो भी मैं आपको डिस्कस करती हूँ, मैंने वो प्रोजेक्ट किया था। बट पहले आपका क्वेश्चन का आंसर देती हूँ कि कोई भी प्रोटेक्टेड एरिया वो पर्टिकुलर एरिया रहता है जहाँ पे ह्यूमन इनहाबिटेंट भी रहता है और इट हैज बीन डिक्लेयर्ड। तो वहाँ डिक्लेयर करने से क्या होता है, बाउंड्रीज बना दी जाती है, फेंसिंग दिया जाता है। बट क्या करते हैं लोकल पीपल्स, वो जो ट्रांजिशन जोन है वहां तक उनको परमिशन रहता है आने का, बट दे आर जस्ट एक्सप्लोरिंग। क्योंकि वो ग्रीड है ना कि हमको और मिल जाए, हमको और मिल जाए। तो जस्ट विजिट टू द बफर जोन एंड देयर दे स्टार्टेड विथ अ अटैक, दे मेट विथ अ अटैक।
Conflict. That is the
कॉन्फ्लिक्ट
conflict.
होता है
Yes,
और
yes,
फिर क्या होता है, ये ऐसा मूवमेंट होता है और समटाइम्स इट हैपेंस कि फ्रॉम द बफर जोन, क्योंकि फ्रॉम द कोर जोन द एनिमल जस्ट अंडरगो विथ अ मूवमेंट इन द बफर जोन और वाइस वर्सा विथ अ कोर जोन। इट हैपेंस कि दे मेट विथ अ लोकल पीपल एंड द कॉन्फ्लिक्ट राइजेस। फिर हम लोग ये रिपोर्ट करते हैं कि टाइगर ने अटैक किया, पर कोई ये रिपोर्ट नहीं करता कि वी वेर देयर इन देयर पर्टिकुलर जोन। तो बिकॉज ऑफ दैट इशू। हाँ, बट अभी ये भी देखा गया है, जैसे भद्रावती का आप लोग, मैं आई एम वर्किंग इन वरोरा, तो भद्रावती का आप लोग काफी न्यूज में देखते होंगे, ताडोबा जोन से जो बफर जोन से एनिमल्स इट इज मूविंग टूवर्ड्स द ह्यूमन सेटलमेंट एरिया। तो क्यों
No,
आता
madam,
होगा?
we had seen that same issue in Sanjay Gandhi National
यस,
Park also.
नेशनल पार्क, यस यस सर।
Because I was 11 years back, I was in Mumbai,
ओके
and
सर।
at that time also the panthers are coming into the human
हम्म।
settlement.
तो क्यों आता होगा, क्यों आते होंगे सर ये लोग वहां पे, क्यों मूव करते
No,
होंगे,
madam,
आपने कभी?
there is a
यस
problem over in Mumbai that there is no land. So
यस सर,
actually,
यस सर,
No
उसका
people are
land.
हैबिटेट
Yes.
actually
जोन नहीं है
going
ना।
to invade in the Sanjay Gandhi National Park.
यस
So
यस।
that is the biggest problem. And right now in the society, in the daylight also, the panthers are moving
मूविंग
like
यस,
a cat.
फ्रीली,
Yes.
यस,
Yes, sir.
They are
Yes.
freely moving, and
फ्रीली मूविंग।
that is actually a case study.
तो यही सर, यही तो थॉट प्रोसेस है कि अगर ये एनिमल्स को उनके कोर जोन में उनकी रिक्वायरमेंट फुलफिल होगी, तो व्हाई दे आर ट्राइंग टू मूविंग इन द अर्बनाइज्ड एरिया, ये एक
Yeah,
थॉट
madam.
प्रोसेस है।
One more question I am having right now. Right now, I am in Solapur.
यस सर।
So basically, over here there is one case study has been found by BNHS and some scientists in the Maharashtra that
यस
these wolf they have got hybridized with the our dogs, and some new DNA has been
स्पीशीज।
found
ओके
uh, into the wolves. So is it
ओके।
possible that such hybrids are uh, formed because of the their you can say the correlation because in Solapur district this total your area is under agriculture. All this, so this was found in the recent month itself it has been found. So is it possible?
Basically these are the mammals, yeah. So
Yeah.
these they just found their habitat zone near which is shared by both dogs as well as these wolves.
Wolves.
Yes. So
Yes.
their inter relationship has been, maybe there is a possibility, but how much it has been successfully, that is not answerable at a present condition. But you give me a good lead to work out.
Mhm.
But there is a inter
Ah,
relationship has been developed that
Madam,
leads to the.
it is found in Ahmednagar district and Solapur district. They
Okay
had
sir.
mentioned it was in news in
Okay,
last month
okay,
itself, and
okay. So
they are
that is
also
a that
very
is
surprised with the result that the wolves and
dogs.
hybrid in between them. So
Yeah, yeah.
actually, it
So
was in a question mark right now that how it was happened. So this is also
so
happening because of the you can say that if we are moving towards the urbanization, the such things
Hmm.
will also happen in future.
Also happens, yes, sir. You come across with a term evolution. Whatever we are
Yeah, yes,
studying as a part of the animal diversity,
yes.
whatever the new species are formed, it is not altogether एकदम ऐसा नहीं हुआ कि अचानक से कुछ नया आ गया. It is
Mm-hmm.
from the pre-existing one. कुछ भी चीज
Yes,
जो
yes,
भी
yes,
होती
sir.
है, that is from the pre-existing one. And
Mm-hmm.
having a distinct character from the pre-existing one that leads to the new species. And this
Yes,
is the
yes.
thing how the evolution took place, and this can be a part of the research as a evolutionary trend.
Right, right.
The
Okay, thank you.
another project that sir has discussed with the elephant recently, मैं वो उस पे थोड़ा सा बात करना चाहूंगी, 2 मिनट ही सिर्फ. I worked for the mining project, and in the Jharkhand, the Chiria mines, very famous mine of the iron ore. There, the complete area where the mining is carried out, it also consists of the protected area in the bioreserve for the elephant, because from the Jharkhand to the Odisha, they used to migrate. उनका ये वो माइग्रेटरी पाथवे था, और ये जो माइनिंग जोन था वो उनके माइग्रेटरी पाथवे से काफी दूर था. बट जब इसका जो ओर को ट्रांसफर करते थे, क्योंकि वहां पे डेंस फॉरेस्ट था, तो रोड बनाना पॉसिबल नहीं है. तो उस टाइम पे क्या होता था कि अगर मटेरियल को ट्रांसफर करना है तो कैसे करना, क्योंकि अगर रोड जब हम लोग डेवलप कर रहे थे, जब हम प्रपोज कर रहे थे, तो वी फाउंड दैट द माइग्रेटरी पाथवे इज इंटरप्टेड बाय द कंस्ट्रक्शन ऑफ द रोड्स. तो at that time, we extended our management plan of the overhead gears trolley, which is running overhead from one zone to another zone, and in this way we protected the migratory path, and we also run the mining zone. क्योंकि कैसे है, डेवलपमेंट तो होना चाहिए बट नॉट एट द कॉस्ट. अगर हमने उनका माइग्रेटरी पाथ अफेक्ट कर दिए रहते तो दे बिकम्स जस्ट वाइल्डेस्ट, क्योंकि एलिफेंट्स का एक पर्टिकुलर पैसेज रिदम फॉर्म हो जाता है. अगर वो डिस्टरबेंस हुआ तो वो पर्टिकुलर हैबिटेट को ही डिस्ट्रॉय करना चाहता है. तो इन बिटवीन द मैनेजमेंट प्लान हैज बीन देयर, एंड द माइनिंग जो जोन है, सेल के अथॉरिटी है, दे वर वेरी मच हैप्पी टू गेट सच मैनेजमेंट प्लान. तो इस ऐसे बहुत
अच्छा
सारे
अच्छा,
हमारी ये
अभी जैसे
रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी,
जी
ये हमारी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है कि हमको डेवलपमेंट तो चाहिए, क्योंकि हम माइनिंग भी जोन नहीं रोक सकते हैं, बट हम अपने जो अपने फॉनल है, जो अपना एनवायरमेंट है, उसको भी क्या कहेंगे, उसको नहीं बोलेंगे कि आप कॉम्प्रोमाइज करो. तो हियर वी प्ले अ की रोल कि भाई दोनों चीज पैरेलल रन हो सके एट द मैक्सिमम स्टेज. यस, दैट्स इट.
अभी जैसे पेंच टाइगर रिजर्व से जो अभी हाईवे जा रहा है एमपी से, वहां पे भी अब जो
जी,
नेशनल हाईवे कंस्ट्रक्शन कर
हाँ,
रहे हैं, वहां पे भी जो
हम्म,
जोन बना रहे हो आने जाने के लिए,
जोन बना
इट
रहे,
इज
हाँ
ऑल्सो वन
हाँ.
ऑफ द वेरी
वो
गुड
उसको
वे.
भी किया है ना
यस,
सर, उसको भी देखिए अंडर पाथवे बताया है कि एनिमल का जो
अंडर पाथवे.
पाथवे है ना, हाँ, वो नहीं अफेक्ट हो रहा. दे
राइट,
द
राइट.
स्टेट गवर्नमेंट लुक आफ्टर दैट कि भाई ये एक्चुअली वो ऑलरेडी प्लान में ही रहता है. ये जब हम लोग
राइट.
ईआईएस स्टडीज करते हैं ना, आई वर्कड इन ईडी एज ए प्रोजेक्ट असिस्टेंट फॉर कैरिंग आउट डिफरेंट एनवायरमेंटल इम्पैक्ट असेसमेंट विद डिफरेंट प्रोजेक्ट्स, जिसमें माइनिंग
But
के
ma'am,
प्रोजेक्ट.
same thing is not happen in Samruddhi, na? Because समृद्धि पे तो नहीं
Yes.
हुआ, वो खाली वहां पे ही हुआ है आपके यहाँ पे.
हाँ,
वो जो
Right.
तो
नागपुर से
कैसे है ना
लेके
सर,
मध्य
तो
प्रदेश जाता है
पेंच
उसी रोड पे है,
that
लेकिन
that
समृद्धि
that
पे नहीं
is
हुआ.
that
वहां
is
पे
the
मरते हैं बहुत सारे.
that is the most hot spot area na sir. That
Yes,
was that, and
yes.
that has been looked after properly by the state government. यही तो मैं बोल रही हूँ ना कि यहाँ the key role is this is our responsibility.
Government. Yes.
जब हम प्रोजेक्ट फाइनलाइज करते हैं या इम्प्लीमेंट करते हैं, इट प्लेज इंडिविजुअल सिटीजन्स. हम क्या सोचते हैं, वो सब साइन करते हैं, क्या होता है, सबने कर दिया साइन, हम भी कर देते. देयर शुड बी अ थॉट. दैट्स व्हाई आई हैव
Right.
शेयर्ड दिस टॉक कि भाई सबको
Yeah,
सब
madam,
पता
for
रहता
that
है.
underpass also, it is said that it is not helpful for few months. But afterwards, they are having some cameras and all that.
Yes, yes,
Then they
yes, yes.
then they found out that the animals are using that
Right.
underpass.
Yes.
But for first time, the animals were
Yes.
not seen. So they were thinking
Hmm.
that it is a failure.
यस यस
नो
यस।
नो
नहीं
नो नो,
सर, अभी
दैट
देखिए
वाज
यही बिहेवियर
गुड वन।
पैटर्न है, दिस इज कॉल्ड द एनिमल बिहेवियर पैटर्न। हमको
या
कुछ नए जोन पे डाल देंगे तो हम क्या नॉर्मल रिएक्ट करेंगे क्या? हाँ, सेम थिंग, सभी सभी लिविंग बीइंग को टाइम लगता है टू जस्ट ट्यून अप विथ अ न्यू सिचुएशन।
राइट।
हमको भी वैसे ही लगता है, तो दे ऑल्सो। बट हमको ये ध्यान देना है कि भाई चीज अफेक्ट ना हो, जितनी लीस्ट अफेक्ट हो। एक ऐसा हो सकता है कि जैसे आपने समृद्धि मार्ग का बताया, उन्होंने ये ध्यान नहीं दिया, उनको था कंस्ट्रक्शन पे फोकस करना। और अगर वो थोड़ा सा देखते थे कि अगर कम अफेक्शन में भी हम वर्कआउट कर सके, तो ये थॉट आना चाहिए। ये थॉट सबको सब पता है, बट इनिशिएटिव लेने के लिए वी जस्ट टेक द इनिशिएटिव कि कोई तो भी लेगा एंड देन वी फॉलो। तो ऐसा होने से बहुत सारी चीजें लूजन हो जाती है, एंड एवरीवन जस्ट फोकस विद द डेवलपमेंट कि हाँ हमको क्या मिल रहा है, हम ये सोचते हैं, बाकी लेट इट गो। ओके।
थैंक यू मैम, थैंक यू।
थैंक यू
थैंक यू।
मैडम।
मैम कुछ शेयर कर सकता हूँ आपसे?
जी जी सर।
ओके, दिस इज माय पर्सनल ओपिनियन, मे बी
यस।
आई एम रॉन्ग, और मुझे लगता है मैम एज अ बायोलॉजिस्ट कि जैसे बाकी की स्पीशीज है अर्थ पे, वैसे ही ह्यूमन बीइंग भी एक स्पीशीज ही है। तो बाकी सब स्पीशीज है वो तो कॉन्शियस है, बट ह्यूमन एक ही ऐसा स्पीशीज है जो सेल्फ कॉन्शियस है।
हम्म।
बट सब स्पीशीज में अगर सबसे ज्यादा कोई सेल्फिश है तो ह्यूमन बीइंग है।
हाँ सर।
मेजोरिटी ऑफ लोगों को कुछ नहीं फर्क पड़ता कि वाइल्ड लाइफ डिक्लाइन हो रही है, हाँ चीता मर रहा है या टाइगर
हम्म।
गायब हो रहा है, कुछ नहीं फर्क पड़ता। बस बस कुछ बायोलॉजिस्ट लोगों को, साइंटिस्ट लोगों को पता है कि जैसे वो स्पीशीज है वैसे हम भी स्पीशीज है।
हम्म।
तो अगर वो कम होते रहे तो कभी ना कभी हमारा नंबर आएगा और हम भी एक्सटेंड हो गए।
यस।
बस अपने को बचाने के लिए सब जो चल रहा है साइंटिस्ट लोगों का, वो है ह्यूमन रेस को बचाने के लिए। और अभी जो चल रहा है कि वाइल्ड लाइफ इज डिक्लाइनिंग एंड ह्यूमन पॉपुलेशन इज गोइंग इंक्रीजिंग,
इंक्रीजिंग।
बस यही चीज बस रिवर्स हो गई तो अर्थ का बैलेंस बिल्कुल परफेक्ट हो जाएगा। दिस इज माय ओपिनियन।
Good thought, sir, and thank you for sharing this one. You rightly said कि the present ratio is in this way, but just I want to interrupt कि सिर्फ
यस
human race is not a priority of any biologist or the environmentalist or the scientist. It
यस
overlook, it go with a overlook, but that can become as a priority with we can connect with, as we are human being. But the environmentalist never thought of being as an environment. It look over for the environmental perspectives.
यस मैम।
That's it. That's it, sir.
यस, थैंक यू मैम।
Okay.
मे आई गो मे आई गो टूवर्ड्स द वोट ऑफ थैंक्स, पांडे
हाँ
सर?
हाँ हाँ, बोलिए बोलिए बोलिए।
ओके ओके सर। I am immensely thankful to Dr. Sanyogita Verma for her information, for her informative talk about biodiversity conservation. It has been such an honor to be a part of this wonderful session. Wildlife conservation should be a matter of concern to all mankind. That's what a summary of ma'am's lecture. On behalf of MM-TTC, Rani Durgavati Vishwavidyalaya Jabalpur, I would like to extend my heartful gratitude to our esteemed guest, Dr. Sanyogita Verma. I am also thankful to Dr. Pandey sir and Chandok sir for providing such a knowledgeable resource person. And with the permission of organizer, I declare that this session is over. Thank you, sir.